This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.
Hello, all, and welcome, and broadcasting live from southern Michigan and all around the globe. This is Bigfoot Michigan Rob, Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob and Monica. That's right, Monica Rollins, our paranormal world. If not subscribed to her channel, please run on over there and subscribe. She does a great show. Thanks to Monica. Thanks to all of you for coming on in. Don't forget, if you're new here, to subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, Texas Front Porch, The Blondes and the Booze, Paranormal Podcast, Paranormal Paul, Dine Show Says Stuff, Truth or Tinfoil. Thank you so much for that. Also, everybody, thanks for buying my books found on YouTube. Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1 and Book 2. Simply type Bigfoot Michigan Rob in your Amazon browser, and they will pull up. They will pull up, and leave a review. If you did buy it, I appreciate that. Hit the like button here on YouTube. Leave a comment after the show. Of course, the super chats are open. Great way to support what we all do around here. You, mateys, you can also become BMR pirates. Join today. Join the many, join the few, depending on your point of view. Of course, you get a good old picture of good old BMR. Yeah, sporting a bandana next to your name in the chat room. That's indeed what you get. And with that being said, I think that covers all the business. We do have the conference coming up, but I first am going to bring up Miss Rollins.
Hi.
Hello. And I was waiting for you to inadvertently bring up yourself early.
I'm not clicking on the chat, because that's what happens is when I click on my separate like YouTube channel, because I have two windows open.
Yes.
I click on the YouTube window, and when I go to click back over to the StreamYard window, I don't know what I'm doing. Clearly not paying attention.
Well, I don't mind when you do that, because it's kind of funny. We were talking, maybe it was you and me, or me and Brandy, about doing a blooper reel. It's just so much work to look those up, because we got so many bloopers, and that's but that I don't mind when you do that. It's kind of funny. It's a break of the monotony, because to be honest with you, I'm getting with Tex, and I've been doing this show for a while, or all the shows. I have 3 shows, as most people know. So we're putting together a generic opening thing like he does for you guys, and I never had one, because I just play the same music over and over. So he and I gave him full control of all the creative content, because, as you know, Tex is getting pretty good at these little clips that he does for us.
Sure.
So we're putting a generic one together for me.
I need to redo mine.
Yeah, because I'm getting bored. I usually play the same type of music, and I like how it opens with a video and some imaging and some logos. So he's working on that for me. He has nothing better to do at work. Works midnights, for God's sakes. Who works on the
right?
midnight?
What's happening at 3:30 a.m.?
Yeah, nothing. So he's working on that. Thanks, Tex. If you're listening, you're probably sleeping. Of course, he's sleeping. That's why you're my new co-host, because Tex, he's got those hours. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. I've got to tell you, Monica, I've been kind of busy. I'm finally in the month of September. And I'm kind of doing a little pre-marketing for good old BMR. Last month it started, I did like a 5-minute bit on Small Town Monsters, which already aired like last month. Okay. And what they did was, it was part of my dog Bigfoot experience, which they did a nice job, and they just did all the edits for all the juicy parts. But also, I can't say when the release date is, but I'm going to be featured with a lot more of me. The Dawn of the Dogman that we filmed
Very
about 4
cool.
months ago. So that's me coming out. Small
Very
Town
cool.
Monsters. And that's all I can say. I think they've got one of those early trailers that they've been showing. It's all on the internet. So I'm happy to be a part of that. And then in September, I just did I'm going to be featured on a show in Newfoundland, Canada. I was on
Newfoundland.
that Newfoundland, yeah, Newfoundland. In my old age, I'm losing my,
Hey, Newfoundland is like phonetically correct, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, Newfoundland, but of course, Monica, you are exquisite with your pronunciation.
I try. I'm annoying with it. I know. I'm sorry. And
You don't annoy
I try to
me.
stop myself. I know it's annoying.
Well, you're not annoying because I take pride in trying to speak normally, right? And since I've met you the last several years, I'm getting better because I just listen to Monica. Yes, Monica always says it correct.
Listen to me.
Yeah, that's all I do. I just
I
listen to Monica.
enunciate like a lady.
You enunciate. Yes. Here I am. I went to U of M, and I should be this wizard of the vocabulary, but I'm not.
What'd you major in? Did you major in communication?
I did communications and advertising. Go figure. And then I got a minor in marketing and management.
Marketing. Usually, when you have the advertising major, your marketing's your minor.
Yeah, I did that.
It's easier that way if you're looking for corporate jobs.
Yeah, and I did. I had a corporate job at Ford, which, whatever. But that got boring after a while. Believe it or not. Yeah.
No, a boring corporate job.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. And I had to wear the damn suit. Well, I was there 20 years, and I was like I said, I'm not a suit and tie guy, and I'm sure you're well aware of that.
But when you're young, like, you feel important putting that suit on, like
you
do.
Yeah, you do.
It gets old fast.
It gets old after about the first year.
Yeah.
I was in my early 20s, and I felt important, as you said. I did, and I did like a cool, snazzy, cool looking suit. Trust me, I did. I enjoyed it, and then I'm like, man, I'd rather be on the plant floor just wearing a polo shirt and khakis.
Sure.
Which I eventually weaseled my way into. But that kind of stunk. I don't know how to, which.
Stank.
It's all the same. Yes. And then I started getting disenchanted with my job because my main job was to look on the floor and figure out, Monica, how to decrease the workforce.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. So I had a job with engineering.
No.
And I was looking over how the assembly line was running and how we could eliminate jobs via technology. And this was back well before technology. We didn't have robots in the shop.
Crappy job.
Yeah. And then I had to give people pink slips on Christmas Eve. People that I knew for 10, 15 years. I was totally the Grinch. So I started looking for a new job.
All right.
And
what that story reminds me of? Let me interrupt you, or it will.
No, go for it. Yeah.
Do you remember Cheers?
Of course.
Back in the 80s.
Yeah.
There was an episode where Norm. What's it, Norm? Yeah.
Well, there's Norm and Cliff, right?
Yeah. So it was Norm had the job that you had. He had to pink slip people, and he would start crying when he was, and they'd feel bad for him, even though they were the ones getting pink slipped. And he got so used to it that he stopped getting emotional about it. And then the people were like, hey, where's the waterworks? Why aren't you getting
Yes.
I remember that episode.
I never seen that episode, but I did love Cheers. And boy, I tell you, because a lot of the people that I had to do this, especially I was there a decade before I got this newer part of my job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I knew everybody, because I worked all 3 shifts too. Even though I was a white collar guy, I still was involved with all the shifts in the plant. So they saw me quite a few times on the floor and got to make some friendships. And it took a lot for me on Christmas Eve after the party Great time seeing you. Here's your pink slip. And of course, I always said, look, it's not permanent. They might call you back. But I knew in my heart of hearts it probably wasn't happening. So it was a little white lie and then I felt bad about it for a long time.
See, I had that job with 2 companies ago.
Okay.
And I wore so many hats at that place. I was in the corporate office, and the CEO that came in and brought me up into corporate, I don't know what was going on. I don't know if he had I don't know what was, but he would take me out, and I had to go with him to various stores.
Oh boy.
Yeah, to let people go or like evaluate the situation and then advise on whether or not they should be let go. But if he and I made our rounds to the stores in DFW, and we had stores in several other states, and thank God I didn't have to go do that in the other states. But yeah, he and I would pile up in his car and just drive around DFW, terrorizing the stores, essentially. Yeah, great management.
Yeah, this exquisite. It always sucked because when I started doing that job, like the first couple years, it was really bad, and then by the 3rd year, the people were not even having a good time at the Christmas party because when they saw me, they knew that at the end of the party, I'd be delivering bad news to a handful of people. God, that sucked, Monica. I bet
it did. That's the worst time of year to do that, too. What a crappy company.
Christmas Eve.
What a crappy company to do it on Christmas Eve. Here's your gift.
Yeah.
You can stay home for the rest of the year.
You can take the rest of you can take off the entire rest of the year.
Yeah.
Consider
it a forced vacation.
Yeah, basically.
That's horrible.
I think back in the day, though, people weren't too concerned because we also did hand out. They don't do it anymore because of, I don't know why they don't, but they also would give the previous year's bonus from profit sharing out, which back in the big 3 was a sizable check, $5,000-$10,000 for a lot of people.
Sure.
So that kind of lightened the blow because you got your bonus check and from the end of the previous year along with your pink slip.
Well, at least they're getting some money. It's not just
it's not like
to the backside,
And the thing about it was the people that checked paycheck to paycheck were screwed, and the people that so that money, that bonus really, kept them afloat. But
sure.
So that's what I did. Oh, and I also forgot to mention September 19th, I'll be on 107.6 FM radio New Orleans broadcasting. I'll be doing a show there.
September 19th?
I think this one is September 19th.
That's our conference day.
September 9th.
Yes. You're going to do it from the conference.
Yeah, boy, oh boy. Yeah, no, that was a snafu. The 9th. It's the 9th. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
That'll be a lot of fun. And then I'm also going to be on Gulf Coast Radio 103.6. So I've been a busy bee trying to set myself up to go on different avenues, so I'm kind of excited. And a lot of that's all done. A lot of them were pre-records except for the live radio shows.
Sure.
So that's cool. So that's enough of what I have going on. Now I have a break, no more podcasts for anybody because they're all banked except for the live shows. So what do you got going on? Anything cool happening with you before we really get rolling? I got a couple cool things to talk about.
No, nothing outstanding. I'll have my show tonight outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do the AI part 2.
Yes. If anybody did not see last Thursday, in fact, I bebopped on because I think Joe was off on vacation or whatever. And that was, I tell you what, it was cool and creepy all at the same time.
Right. It was. And I asked it more questions. So get into that.
Yeah. So you guys go check out Monica's replay and watch her tonight because I tell you what, it's fascinating. And again, you got to give me a list. I'll do it if no one else does it. Give me about 5 of the questions you did, and I'll do it the same way you did it and see what type of answers I get because I think that would be kind of cool. And in fact, if you want, after this Thursday, give me the questions and I can compare notes with you maybe on a future show.
Yeah, that's
See how
great.
they contrast. Just an idea.
Sure. Yeah, somebody had asked me for the questions, but that's difficult for me to list out every single, because a lot of my questions were based on answers. So
Oh,
I
God.
had a main question, and then my subsequent questions were following the
Well, what
answer.
I could do is give me like a base of 3 or 4, and then I'll just do it how you started. Then I'll do my own deal. But we'll just see. I'm sure there'll be some contrasts and some likenesses, right? It'd be
Yeah.
interesting anyway. But anyway,
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
so thanks to everybody for coming on in. Again, we have our conference September 19th and 20th, almost getting close to a month away.
Yeah.
That's fun. The event bright link is posted here on my channel and all the other guys and gals channels. So I came across this newspaper article, which was cool because it's funny because of Newfoundland. I started looking up things in Newfoundland and found something about sea monsters.
Oh.
So I found this old newspaper article that I'm going to share with everybody, and we can kind of talk about it a little bit. If you're new, thanks for coming on in, everybody. Mike Bothwell, Sharebear, you look new. Gary Spikes, A Pops, Sparky, all the usual suspects. Andrew, Roger Blair, Keith from Michigan, Diane Boss, Monica, Woo, Rider Dog, blah, blah, blah. So if I miss you, I'm just scrolling really fast. Love you all. Thanks for coming in. Nathan, what's up, Nathan? Earlson, how you doing, brother? Truth Walker. So yeah, that's all I can see right now. That's the people that are chatting it up. So yeah, I'm gonna present this article. And this was from the Western Star newspaper of Newfoundland, August 6th of 1912. Okay. And the headline was something about the Lark Harbor Monster. And of course, in this, so as I'm reading through this, it goes on and says that there's no shortage of strange stories from Newfoundland's coast, but some are strange and true, at least according to the men who were there to see it. One such account comes from Lark Harbor, and then it says here 113 years ago, I guess that's accurate, when a fisherman named Josiah Levi Shepherd had an encounter with something he simply called a devilfish. It happened early one morning in August of 1912. Josiah had set out for the fishing grounds with his brother Henry in a motorboat. After a slow start off a Weebald, probably the coastline, I guess, they decided to try their luck off French Island. Josiah had about half a quintal of cod in his dory. This is where you can tell a quintal of cod in his dory. I'm guessing 5 fish in a fish container. I guess with their verbiage.
Quintal.
Yeah, of dory.
Fish in a dory.
Yeah, because they use
it. That's pretty antiquated.
Yeah.
Okay. Fishing context, particular historical regions like Newfoundland, a quintal of fish usually refers to a unit of weight equal to 112 pounds.
Oh, wow. So that was a nice catch, eh?
Yeah, and a dory is a type of small, shallow fishing boat, typically 60 to 20 feet long.
Very good. Thank you. Now it makes a little more sense. They throw out those words a couple times, which they towed behind the motorboat to their new spot. Once there, Josiah got back into the dory. His brother slacked him about 200 yards astern. He was just getting ready to fish when something enormous surfaced beside him. According to Josiah, the creature raised his head over the side of the dory and looked directly at the fish in the bottom of the boat, then at him. That's what it says. Without warning, it grabbed a hold of the dory and disappeared below. So now that a dory is a boat, it took this boat under, I'm guessing.
Sounds like it.
flipping Josiah into the sea.
Mm.
He screamed. His brother cut the motorboat free and raced to him. They found the dory floating upside down and Josiah clinging to it, soaked and shaken. He survived, but barely. When they hauled the boat aboard, they saw the damage. Teeth had punched clean through the wooden plank, leaving a bite mark nearly 2.5 feet wide.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Josiah described the creature as having a gaping mouth about 4 feet across, large, unblinking eyes, a black back, and a pale underside.
Mm.
He was certain it wasn't a shark. It didn't need to turn to strike and moved in a way none of them had ever seen before. The paper called it a devilfish, the old name for a giant squid. But Josiah never mentioned any tentacles, and he wasn't sure what he had seen. Maybe it was a squid, or maybe it was something else, something much stranger.
Mm.
Something that still lives out there beneath the chop and swell of the cold Atlantic, waiting for the next quiet boat and the next quiet morning's quarry. The first thing that I thought when I read that was an oversized, huge catfish, because we have them here. They're in Mississippi. You know what I'm talking
Aren't
about?
they freshwater though?
Well, no. Well, mine here freshwater, but this is obviously the Atlantic Ocean, right?
Yeah, but I
According to the
don't think there's catfish in the ocean. Is what
You
I'm
do
saying.
not think
I
there
think
are?
they're
That's what I
fish,
was thinking.
freshwater fish.
Yeah.
See, I think shark because it's got all the symptoms of a shark.
Yeah.
Right, with the black back and the white underside. We know that they go up in that area, not often, but they do it. And the bite mark is not in line with the squid. I mean, the squid have the beak, so but it wouldn't leave like teeth. I mean, it would
Yeah.
crush it, maybe.
And well, maybe, and you didn't, and it mentioned in the article a 4-foot wide mouth. And if correct me if I'm wrong, a squid's mouth is like in the center, and is it more of a circular?
Well, yeah, it's
mouth?
circular, but there's like the parrot like beak.
Yeah. Yes.
Right, that's what they would chomp down with.
Yeah. So I'm thinking you're probably more accurate than. I think you're accurate with the fact that it might have been more of a shark.
Seems like a shark.
But I
mean,
gotta
but
tell
that's
you what.
pretty strong. I mean, you don't know what condition that dory was in. They're shallow boats, so they're probably easily tipped over.
Probably. You know, kind of reminds me back, when I went fishing with my girlfriend back in the day in that skiff, which really shouldn't have been on the water in the first place.
Right.
And yeah, perhaps. But then when you think about a 4-foot wide mouth, Jaws's mouth wasn't even that wide.
Well, 2.5 feet, right? So that's what, 30 inches?
Yeah.
That's 30 inches.
Yeah, maybe.
That's pretty big.
I think it's a 4. Did I say 3 feet or 4 feet? Well, regardless, it's
2.5.
big.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's
I mean
the bite mark 2.5 feet across.
Yeah.
That's pretty sizable. I mean, that's whatever it is.
It'll take your hand off.
It'll take probably a leg, take a leg. Want a leg, you want an arm, foot.
I wouldn't stick my hand in its mouth. We're just saying.
Not alive. Or maybe even dead because you drop it on your
Yeah, no, why tempt fate?
Yeah, no, for sure. So that brought it up. That's kind of interesting, And again, I really started researching that country. I think Newfoundland's Canada, isn't that?
Yeah, it is actually borders Maine, Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Because my I think that's right. Let me see. My grandmother, where she grew up, was right on the border. Yeah, was right on the border with it.
Mm-hmm.
That seems right. Right, Maine. Oh, Nova Scotia. She was on the border. It's way up north. Like the coastline of Newfoundland, if you went straight northeast, you'd hit the tip of Greenland. So Newfoundland is pretty far up there.
Yeah.
It's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
They're pretty far up there.
That's pretty
That's some
far up.
cold water.
That's really some cold water, and I cannot imagine being in a dory. We've all watched the show. Oh, what the heck's the name of it? With the guys that, out in Canada and Alaska and Russia, they go out the Bering Sea. Fisherman show. How cold that is.
Yeah, the deadliest catch.
Deadliest catch. Yeah, I mean that kind of reminds me. It's probably the same type of waters, or at least as cold as over there.
Oh,
I don't
sure.
know. I don't know. I would not be in a little dory if it's that cold out on the water. And
I mean, if they're in a bay or if they're along the shore, it's probably
inland.
Well, probably depending on the weather. I mean, surely they're not going out there during like a North Atlantic storm.
Well, you would think not.
I would hope not. But yeah, anyway, they were brave going out in the ocean with a dory, in my opinion. But it seems like that's what they did in Newfoundland. So
yeah, and during that article, it was sounded like it's something that happens every day. It's not like a big deal that they're out on a dory. I mean, hey, we're on our dory, and this is what happened.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't like. It sounds like a shark to me.
I would say shark. I mean,
but that's way up there.
It is, and I kind of found that interesting because let me ask you: do you believe? Now, of course, here in Michigan, I can tell you a couple things, but do you think? We always talk about these cryptids and this paranormal stuff. There's got to be a lot of things. I mean, think about the ocean, the depths of the ocean. I mean, I'm willing to bet there's more undiscovered species than there is in the forests. That's
in
my
the ocean?
take. Yeah.
Probably. Like just because there's so little of it that we've explored because of crush depths, right? And or just access to it. We go down. Yeah, we go down there. We send probes and whatnot down there, but we're looking at like a postage stamp sized piece of real estate under the ocean compared to like, the state of Maine. It's on my mind now. Like a postage stamp in Maine. Like there's so much that we just don't know. Because we don't have it, we haven't gotten access to it. I mean, I believe that there's more undiscovered in the ocean.
I do too. I don't know that there's big cryptid creatures. I do remember, but then who knows? But I will tell you what I found fascinating. I was watching this documentary, Mariana's Trench, which I think is 31,000 feet deep, and they were running a submersible down there, like a little mini submarine, and they were sending images back, and they found life. And it was funny because, and I was watching this, and they're as big as a hand. But they seen these they kind of resemble fish, but they didn't really have tails like a fish that we would know. It was kind of more streamlined, and they were like almost like a neon blue and green, and you could like see right through them. And you would think with the pressure it would crush them, but they eventually caught one. But it was almost when they brought it to they somehow caught it. I can't tell you how. They got something somehow to the surface. But kind of when it broke the top of the ocean, it was like 90% water, and it kind of just fell apart.
Right. Well, at that depth, I would imagine it's similar to like a jellyfish. I mean, I don't know how, I have no idea like how bones do down that depth. Not well. I would imagine.
Yeah.
And then the pressure change from that high pressure environment to the low pressure environment comparatively on the surface.
Well, just like you probably kind of know from your husband, if you're scuba diving and you come up too fast and don't decompress, that you can go through cause some serious damage to your inner body, right? You could die.
Yeah. All the oxygen in your blood just expands. Yeah, the bends. you got to go into hyperbaric chambers to if you don't decompress properly on the way up.
Yep. And Mark Ziammer, hi Mark. BMR, have you seen that deep water footage of water below water? It's like a lake below the ocean. You know, I've heard of that, have not seen it, and the water is too dense to enter.
So
It's very interesting.
Super salinated, like just a high saline content, like a high salt content. Like there's a layer.
That does make sense.
I don't know if that's right, but I'm curious. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, Mark, if you know the answer. But yeah, I've heard of that, did not see it. That's very interesting. And the funny thing why I even brought this up, because, you know, there's millions, hundreds of thousands of acres of uncharted forest, right? Even here in the United States, I imagine. I don't know what the number is. I heard it was somewhere in the millions. But the ocean is just too vast. It's too deep. I mean, the one side of the ocean, I mean, a tsunami can take out, you know, 4 states if it's big enough with the water swell. The whole coastline depends on.
Depends on that would have to be like a mega tsunami to go.
Well, it would, and, you know, talking about it would. I mean, I'm just, you know, kind of, maybe I'm just.
And I could see it happening more on well, you're less likely to get tsunamis on the East Coast, but I could see it traveling farther inland along the East Coast because it doesn't have the mountain ranges. There's coastal ranges on the West Coast.
Yes, correct. And I will tell you this, because something that I did read, because I do read up a lot on the Great Lakes, Lake Superior, check this out, and I can't fathom this. Lake Superior alone, if you were to take all the gallons of water, and I used to know the number, I do not, but if you took every drop of water in Lake Superior and it flooded from the north all the way down, it would cover the entire Ohio. It would cover all the way down through the Ohio Valley. Now, you wouldn't be submerged in water, but it would be at a depth of about 2 inches. So think about that. That's a hell of a lot of water for a Great Lake. Well,
it's a Great Lake.
Yeah, which is deep, and that's several miles south, right. And not to mention, I don't remember how wide it was. And now you got the ocean, which is like, you know, you're going to fit 1 million Lake Superiors in a section of the ocean. It's just, you know, food for thought.
Deep water freaks me out. I'm good.
Yeah. Now I used to be I still am a water guy, but you won't catch me going in the water anymore. Not on the Great Lakes for sure. You just don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, I enjoy it, but here's the thing. Every year here in Michigan, we get reports. Some idiot. I shouldn't say that because he's no longer with us. Was on his boat. He dove into the river, never to surface.
It happens.
And this is like down, I was on the Detroit River, kind of like off where I live a little bit. And they found him a week later. Okay. He traveled some 10 to 15 miles. And when they found him, number one, he was not decomposed. They found his body pinned because of the currents at one of the beams that supports the Ambassador Bridge of Canada. And he was pinned against it. His body with the water kept him in place there. In fact, this man, when he dove into the water, was rushed away with the current. And he was just tumbling through the river underwater. And the only reason he stopped is because his body slammed into the beam and it pressed him there. They had to take a bunch of scuba divers and rescue folks to get him off. And that's just the river. And I shouldn't say just the river. It's Mother Nature's powerful. Water is the most powerful thing, right? You can come across.
I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to mess with any like major natural thing. Like fast, dark water freaks me out. I see the pictures of like floods in Iceland. Like I see the lahars, like from when Mount St. Helens exploded. And just watching like the volume of water going past these little people and this insane amount of volume going going past. So turbulent, it freaks me out. Like I'm not even standing there and it freaks me out. I don't like fast, dark water. That's
No, I
deep,
don't
dark
anymore.
water. No thanks.
No, I remember back in my more reckless days of being on the Detroit River, I dove into it out in the middle of the river.
Mm.
Today you wouldn't catch me doing that.
Yeah, I've swum in the ocean. I could see the bottom where I was swimming.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, if I stopped and thought about it, I had to go back to shore because it freaked me out. Like I don't like being in it. So.
Now I'll go up to maybe knee depth, and as a kid too in Daytona Beach, when we always went for spring break, I'd always go body surfing. And I never realized I was naive as an 18-year-old or whatever, how naive I was about the power of the ocean, because we started, our hotel was in front of us. We had our little area on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
We're out doing our thing. And then me and my buddy Mike, we go out and do some wave running, going out in the waves, this, that, and the other. So I don't know what the name of the hotel was back in the day, Cabana, the Cabana Hotel. I don't know.
Right.
So, but that was my place of reference where we were, when I got out of the ocean. So we're out there doing our thing. We're out there, we're having a great time. I don't know how long we were frolicking about. So we decided, man, we're getting a little tired. The waves are crushing us. A lot of times you would get smacked on the bottom of the sand and spun around. I mean, it was pretty brutal for a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get up out of the ocean on shore, and we look ahead. We don't even know where the hell we are. It was like the Marriott Hotel in front of us, and we didn't realize that while we were out there not paying any attention, we were probably taken like a mile down from where we entered.
Mm.
You know?
That's freaky.
That was really freaky, and we really just laughed it off. We're young kids, but yeah. So, but that was something. But I've got the a Dogman thing I'm gonna share with everybody, which I got some time ago. It's in one of the books. I think book 2 it is, and I want your thoughts on this. It's pretty cool. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. Hit that like button. I see some new folks. If you're new, please hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate it. Anyways, getting on with this here, I got to check something out really quick. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I got to pull up my little bit of notes. I haven't done this one in a while. I don't think I've ever done it on a show, actually. So this is like kind of an encounter that I came across. I think people are going to like. And this takes place in the Williams Penn State Forest. And so this guy goes on to tell me his name's Steve. And he says, he goes, I had just this terrifying, horrid, nightmarish ordeal. And he goes on to say that, I believe he goes on to tell me, I'm going to give you some background information of a tale that was told to him by his now late grandfather, Stanley. And then he says he uses the term grandfather loosely, and I don't really understand what he meant by that in the beginning of the story. His father, Stan Jr., had told him that told me this story well before his grandfather did. So I guess his grandfather passed it down, but the kid already knew about it, I guess. He says that his dad was only 5 years old when everything started, his father. And he says, he goes, Rob, my dad remembers fragments of this story about these frightening events. His grandpa, his dad's dad, filled him in a little later on in life when he got older. And so he goes on to tell me this story, which took place in 1967. And he says his grandpa Stanley, which is what he preferred to be called, was in his mid-30s when he and his son, Stan, the kid's father, was about 5 years old. So he says that the grandpa had over 40 acres of property outside of the Williams Penn State Forest, which he says, I believe is what they call it today. And he says he had a very spacious cabin. It was set back deep in the woods. And it's where his dad had spent his early youth hunting and fishing with Grandpa Stanley, right? So on the 16th birthday of the kid telling me this story, Grandpa purchased him an older Ford pickup truck. Okay, when he turned 16, his grandson. So we got Grandpa Stanley Jr. and the kid. The grandpa bought his kid a pickup truck when he turned 16. And so he says, very excited about this. He got it and he was very exuberant, this, that, and the other. And the grandpa said, he put a finger to his lips, he says, when he was talking to him, he says, look, okay, and this guy's name's Steve. Okay. He goes, hey, Steve, the grandson, take this truck wherever you like, but never take it to the cabin. So the Steve says, keep in mind, as he mentioned, that his dad had told him first of these frightening stories, kind of fragmented. So Grandpa Stanley went on to tell him the full story about the cabin in 1967. So his grandpa went on to tell his grandson, he said, hey, Steve, your father and I, when he was 5, went fishing off of a riverbank that ran across the property. He said it was an early morning one day and not a fish could be caught. He goes on to say that not a nibble, nothing, very boring. They're ready to move on. The grandpa recalled that there was not even a sound to be heard in the forest that morning, which he thought was very strange. And the grandfather thought something was just not quite right. It was just very odd. And of course, we've all heard these stories about the forest always being quiet. Whenever you hear that, it's always like a red flag, typically, not all the time. So he goes on to say that he went, they got their gear together and they headed back to the cabin. They were spooked, not to mention the fact they're not catching any fish. So he says before they conclude like getting their line and their gears into the out from fishing in the river, I think it was, the grandfather. Okay, yes, I'm sorry. They're on the river bank and they're reeling in their rods, and there's the forest line is in back of them. And now the grandfather and his son, as he's telling Steve this story, are surrounded by a pack of wolves. And he goes on to say that these wolves, as his grandpa Stanley explained to them, were very huge. They were black. And he says they were very odd because they had these glowing red eyes. And they just glared at the grandfather and the grandfather's son. And he says, Rob, according to my grandfather and dad, because they both had told him the story, these wolves were just on 4 legs, nothing crazy about them, but those red eyes, and they were very big, just staring at them, surrounding them. He says, Rob, they're probably, according to my grandfather and father, they stood maybe 4 foot tall. And again, but they kept telling him they could not get out of their minds about these eyes. Very odd eyes, especially during the daytime. Okay, just glaring. So the grandfather says, hey, listen, he says he guesses there were 6 or 7 of them. And then at this time, the grandfather's son at the time, he starts to cry. And then the dad says all he remembers is the red eyes. So they got very frightened, surrounded by these big wolves. So then his grandpa turned to the dad and told his son to be still and don't move. And then the grandfather said at least 10 minutes went by before the pack of wolves turned back and they went back into the forest. All of the wolves left except for one. This wolf on 4 legs then rose, according to this story, rose to 2 legs and stared directly into his grandfather's eyes with the red eyes, and it says like pierced him. I mean, the grandfather says it kind of went into his soul or whatever. And this wolf-like creature now standing gave him this perverse, odd smile, which he thought was kind of weird because how does something with a long snout even, manage to manufacture a smile? I mean, we've kind of seen our dogs kind of try to smile a little bit, but this, that, and the other. So, but he says that this was kind of not a friendly smile. It was kind of like making a statement that I can get you whenever I want. And this is, I am the man. I am the leader of the pack. So the creature then turns around and still running on two legs. It drops to the four legs and it vanishes back in the depths of the woods. This is 1967. So all that, encompassing all that, surrounded by wolves, one stands up, beating red eyes, 1967. Now this kid has been told the story by his grandfather and his father. So that's kind of all that's amazing 2 minutes.
Okay.
So now he's going to fast forward to 2012. And he says now his dad is 50 years old. He's 24. This guy, Steve. And then they received news that the grandfather had passed away. And in the grandfather's will, the father received the property out at the Williams State Forest back in the day, back where they had this experience. And this place they had not been back to or visited ever since this incident. At least the father got so petrified that he let his dad hang out there, but he never went back. They visited one time, and this guy, Steve, says when he was there, he never liked this place. He always felt uneasy. He felt uneasy the one time they were there. The mother, she never went. And so they just kind of let it kind of sit. They had it, they inherited it, but they just kind of let it go to shambles. So let's see. And they never went back, and the mom never liked the grandfather to begin with. So it was a big, long story with the family. So, so one day they decide that they're going to go back and visit this place. And they go back, and they hadn't been there in years, and they go in this cabin. It's kind of dilapidated, and they're the family's there, the mother, the father, and the son, and they're kind of looking around, and they clean it up, and they kind of spend the night, and they decide that, this place isn't too bad, not as creepy a feeling as to what we previously experienced. Then all of a sudden, during the night, they hear this howling outside of the cabin as they're spending the night. And then there's a bunch of clamoring outside of the cabin, and they hear a bunch of scratching going on, and they hear this scratching on their back deck. They go outside at night after the calamity wears away, and they see nothing. They're kind of spooked now, and they decide, well, you know what? We're getting the hell out of here. We're going home. The next morning when they got up, they kind of did an investigation, a walk about the home before they left. And as I mentioned earlier, there was that scratching sound that they couldn't, like a claw mark, so they could not determine what it was, thought it was some sort of animal. And they said etched on the back of this deck, Monica, was like the words was written, "Stay away, Grandpa."
Okay.
So what the hell was that? A werewolf? Was Grandpa a werewolf all of a sudden throughout all these years?
Stay away, Grandpa.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that this was the grandfather's from 1967. He was with his son, saw these wolves, saw the one stand up, run away.
Yeah.
Grandfather died. They don't go back. Grandfather dies, but he always goes there. That was his place. Gave it to his family. Then he does give it to the family, which is odd. I don't know how odd that is. He just gave him the property to sell.
Normal. That's
But then so they go and they spend the night. Everything's fine. And so when they tell me about this etching in the deck, and it says "Stay away, Grandpa," I'm thinking maybe the grandfather did it, although he's dead. And then I got to thinking maybe he somehow got that engraving, that etching in the back of the deck. I don't know. Then I just was, you know how my brain goes.
Are they sure it wasn't there before? Was it freshly carved into the wood. Did they say that explicitly?
I can't tell you. I don't.
Like, could Grandpa have written that for like the
A
werewolves
long
to
time
stay
ago.
away? Yeah.
That's a great question. I didn't ask. I
You
should
know,
have.
it just I don't think it was the grandfather. If it was any of these creatures, I think that maybe they recognized the scent wasn't Grandpa. Limited communication abilities. I can't even fathom like a dog man scratching words into a
I
deck,
cannot either.
you know, but that's why I asked, like, is it possible the grandfather like signed Grandpa, you know, like stay away Grandpa?
That could have been a warning from his past, right? Growing up.
Yeah,
As
I mean, and he was out there by himself. He could have talked to the woods. I mean, he had that experience. He knows those things are out there. He could have been talking to them for all anybody knows the whole time he'd go up there.
Yeah.
You know, and he etched that stay away. Maybe he called himself Grandpa to those things because that's what everybody called him.
Perhaps.
And carved that in there. What strikes me about the story is, you know, people are seeing wolves with glowing red eyes, and they're like, "That's really odd." Is it? Is it odd?
That is like unbelievable. Yeah.
You weren't freaked out from that alone? Like,
Hey, listen, especially during the day. Well, let me ask you this. Can you see eye shine? I mean, you can't. I've never seen a red-eyed anything, except for if I took a snapshot of a dog or human and they had red eyes back when we had the Polaroids in the day. Remember how everybody would have the red eyes?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen any animal in the woods with red eyes. Have you?
I want to say I've seen red reflection, like eye shine before, but I've never seen anything like in the middle of the day because I assume it's not reflective eye shine in the middle of the day. They're glowing red eyes. I mean, when people tell me that they see glowing red eyes, I always have to ask, were they self-illuminated or was there something hitting the eye at an angle to give the eye shine? Is it eye shine or were they literally self-illuminated glowing red eyes?
Right.
I've heard stories with both. You know, but I mean, any animal with glowing red eyes in the middle of the day goes far beyond, well, that's odd. That's odd.
Well, yeah,
when it stood up in my face with those glowing
that's terrifying.
That's strange. I mean, what normal person wouldn't be absolutely horrified?
I think the
trying to get the heck away from there.
Well, here's what's odd about the story is in 1967, the grandfather and his son, who's 5 at the time, this all happens with, as he tells me, the son, right? And if I'm the father back in the day, and we've seen that just like you're suggesting or talking about, I'm getting my kid out of there and I'm moving. I'm not going to keep it. And then to keep it in your family. But the grandfather still kept going back, and this hung out.
That's odd behavior to me. A wolf standing up and staring me down with its glowing red eyes in the middle of the afternoon surpasses odd. You know, the fact that you continue to go there, that's odd.
And here's the thing: if the grandfather, let's say that it was just the grandfather throughout his years of staying at this cabin. Let's say that he personally etched in "Stay away, Grandpa." Okay, that makes perfect sense what you said. However, why in the hell would you, in your will after you die, give it to your family without explicitly saying in the will, "Hey, listen, here's my property. Here's my recommendation. Just put it up for sale. I don't recommend living there."
Well, okay, so I can see where he would have left it to his son. His son had the experience with them. So he's thinking his son already knows those things are there. So his son can do whatever he wants with it. It's going to be up to his son, but he doesn't want to sell the property. And I can understand that because when I hear stories of hauntings, like seriously haunted houses or property that are just infested with whatever, insert whatever, if I owned that, would I be okay selling that to another family? Because nobody's going to believe you if you tell them, right?
True.
It's going to be find out the hard way. And, if they have children, how would I feel about that? Like, I would rather keep it in my family as long as possible before subjecting it to, like, if it's financially feasible, just hold on to it and keep it away from unsuspecting people.
That's actually, I like that. That's a good point.
Because his son already knows they're there. He had the encounter. The son chose to go back, but the son knows that such things are out there. He saw them. So I'm sure the grandfather was like, well, I mean, he can do whatever he wants. He knows they're here. Like, he might have thought that he wouldn't even go there. He'd just sell it, but he didn't want to be the one to do that.
Especially, yeah, and here's the weird thing too. Yeah, especially the son, as he may mention, the kid was telling me how his dad, just 5 years old, traumatic experience, crying, never went back throughout any of his rest of his childhood growing up. His dad would hang out there by himself. Didn't make mention if the grandfather even was married at the time, right? A loner, I'm guessing. I don't know, or just a widower. I don't know. And to never go back, and then all of a sudden, on the passing of your father, you bequeath this property, which you didn't want nothing to do with, and then all willy-nilly, you kind of pay a visit, clean it up,
I mean,
spend the night.
I might do that just to be like, I'm confident I had that experience, but it was so long ago. Maybe they're not here anymore. I mean, my father was coming here constantly and he was comfortable. Maybe it's not here. I'll go and check it out one time. I don't know that I'd bring my whole family up there, or maybe I would for a feeling of safety if I was that traumatized, but
we just
going up there to check it out.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you remember. Yeah. Well, the guy was 5. Hasn't been back since. I probably would have brought my son and maybe left the wife at home. Because I think a father and son, that's the,
It depends on how old the kid is,
He was 12.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't go there alone with a 12-year-old if I thought there was something dangerous in the woods.
Yeah. So that's probably why he brought the wife along. I guess.
Safety in numbers, right?
Yeah.
And people to verify, like, back him up. I'm not crazy. There's other people here. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, I just kind of wish that I knew more to the story. I kind of wish that, there was more in depth, more detail. Again, when you get some of these things, you just don't know what to think. And a lot of times you don't get responses back. I would just like to have known what experiences the grandfather had and what kept him drawn to just basically almost kind of like living there half the time. What was it he loved about it? He had this experience with his kid. And if this, in fact, happened, it's probably happened more than once, I'd maybe imagine.
Well, certainly, I would imagine. Yeah. I mean,
But
maybe they got used to Grandpa's presence. Maybe Grandpa and these things had an understanding. Like, I keep to myself, you keep to yourself. When it's clear he's not going away, you just don't know, like, what Grandpa was up to.
No, we don't. And I don't know if I would have, of course, at 5 years old, that's pretty traumatizing. But knowing me, what I know about things today, I probably would have ventured back when I got a little bit older, maybe in my 20s.
If it was family property, I'm certain I would have ventured back just to be like, did I really, I mean, first of all, was I really had that experience? And second of all, like, is it still there? Just out of sheer, I mean, he owns it at this point, right? Check it out. Like I said, just check it out and see what's going on. If the things are still in the area.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's what I would do. But there are places that I have been that freaked me out so bad. I really don't think I'll go there again. Just because the effect And it's not even that I saw anything like really crazy. I mean, I had a weird feeling the whole time I was there, but like the way that I don't know how to like the land, I guess, because like I said, nothing traumatic happened while I was there, but I had like PTSD type nightmares about the area for 6 months after I left.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, that's one place, like part of me is like, oh, I mean, it was beautiful. It was in Colorado. I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous in the middle of a wilderness area in the mountains. But the other part of me is like, I don't want to have that like PTSD type nightmare happening like months and months even after I leave. So I don't know. But if it was family property, I probably like if I was a family cabin, let's say, I would probably go back one more time.
I think so too. I think I would. Because for all the points you just brought up, I think it kind of makes sense to me anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and really quickly, thanks to Moon and Noon.
Thanks,
Moon
Nick.
and Noon, couple, oh, I missed Keith. Sorry, Keith. Keith, give to 5 new pirates. Arr. Thanks, Keith.
You
And
know,
Moon-
National Talk Like a Pirate Day is coming up next month.
Oh, wow. We got to do something special for that one.
Right.
Thanks.
I remember being in the middle of Skookum Meadow talking like a pirate with a bunch of Bigfoot researchers.
Oh, no, really? You did?
That was fun. We were in the middle of nowhere, and the only radio station we could get in the mountains there was the Playboy radio station.
Are you?
I'm not kidding.
Playboy
It
radio
was like talk radio. It was the weirdest thing. And it was National Talk Like a Pirate Day. So they were talking like pirates to each other on the radio. So then around camp, we all started talking like pirates to each other.
Oh, wow. Hey, you've got to remind me of that. Send me a message. I got to put that on my calendar. We got to figure something out. Also, Moon, Rock and Roll Never Die, $2. Thanks, Moon. And of course, Moon followed up with another couple bucks. Not a fun fact. All seahorses are born male.
It's the day of our conference.
Oh, is it?
September 19th.
Oh, it is.
Which is also my wedding anniversary, by the way.
Whoa.
It's like a trifecta.
Holy cow. We're gonna have to plan something for that. The day of the conference. Arr. And you're wow, okay. Very interesting. Oh boy, my wheels are turning as we speak.
BMR's his little hamsters are running up there.
Yeah, they are. Hi, Wendell. Hello, everybody. Yeah, they are. And he says your wedding anniversary?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my 19th.
Ooh.
Huh?
19th on the 19th, eh?
Is it 19th anniversary? Shit, I don't know. No. We've been together since 2003.
Okay.
So, but we didn't get married for a long time. So I don't know. It's like 14-year anniversary, I think.
Okay. Well, so yes, we'll have to figure out something for that. So thanks to all you folks for your donations. Not expected, always appreciated. Arr, mateys. But here's the thing. Yeah, I like that. But the red eye, okay, really quickly though, reverting back to the red eye thing, this, that, and the other. Somebody mentioned in chat about eye reflection from headlights of cars. Yeah, I get all that. I think that's a good point. But it does seem though, whenever you talk about Dogman, people I've spoken with, seen on other podcasts, whomever, red eyes always seem to play a role in this Dogman phenomenon. But I got an interesting story about the red eyes, about this couple that was out in the forest, and this is really odd, Monica. I don't know what to make of this. Couple, they're camping in a forest, this, that, and the other, and they themselves live in the woods. They're very familiar with this area, and it was like dusky dawn, however, not full blown daylight. But of course, when you're in the woods, I mean, certain patches are going to be
Yeah, they're
shade.
pretty dark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty dark. I remember when I went with Chris to the LBL, it was 3:00 in the afternoon, and we got in this tunnel of trees. Well, I must tell you, it was like 3 in the afternoon, but I could tell you it was probably could have been 8:00 because these trees are so thick and dense that they blocked out the sun in a lot of different sections. It just
Okay.
happened to be when we were walking through one of the cemeteries, which is a story for another time, which was pretty creepy. But so they're telling me that they're doing their thing, their usual sight during their hiking, drove their vehicle in, and they're doing their thing. So, and as they're walking on the trail, they said that they felt odd. They thought they were being flanked by something. They thought they were being stalked by a predator of the woods, a bear, a wolf, whatever. They got kind of scared. And then they looked to their right and they were frozen because they seen, red eyes glaring in at them as they're telling me this story. And they were just like freaked out by it. So they kind of started walking back toward their vehicle and they still get this feeling that they're being flanked. They look again, the red eyes are still there, and it's kind of paralleling them. So another 50, 60, 70 feet in, all of a sudden the red eyes, they kind of dissipate. They don't see them again, and they're relieved. They get into their Jeep Wrangler. It was a Jeep Wrangler, from what I recall, and they're driving down. They get on the dirt road, and they're driving down the road doing 15, 20, 30 miles, however fast they're going. 10, 11 minutes into it, they look to their right, and they see these red eyes flanking them, and they're doing about 20 miles an hour. And so now I guess the end of the dirt road, it turns into a pavement, more of an open road, but it's still in the woods. And they're like, thank God they can speed up and get the hell out of Dodge. So I guess they're doing like 40 miles an hour or something like this down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Oop. Uh-oh. Okay, but anyways, so they're doing about 40 miles an hour down the road on the pavement, and good, we can get away from these weird red eyes, right? So, Rob, 8-9 minutes into this, we're doing 40. The wife gets this weird feeling, and she looks to the right. She grabs my shoulder, and I briefly look as I'm driving, and these red eyes are following him from the tree line, Monica, and they're doing 40.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they're like, they have no idea what this was. So finally, they got some more of an open road where the wood line kind of backed off. The woods are still around them. They get on the road and they go home. And they get home, and now it's about 8. And now the sun is getting ready to set. And they were just perplexed and confused and at odds with what was these red eyes. And, they said, we didn't know anything at the time about anything, orbs or flashlights. I mean, it's still during the day, albeit it's kind of dark, and shadowy with the trees and the forest. And so, but they felt this odd strangeness that they were being watched, followed, flanked, this, that, and the other. So, but anyway, they get home, they're relieved, they start unpacking their car, whatever, and later in the evening, they get on the porch. They're sitting around having a cup of coffee, whatever they're doing, getting ready for bed. And they just can't get it. And they're still talking about the event that unfolded earlier. And then, as I made mention, they live in just inside the woods. There's a forest, a tree line that surrounds them. And they have this wraparound deck or whatever, if I recall correctly. But regardless, get ready to turn into bed. And all of a sudden, they both kind of look toward the forest and just kind of glance about the tree line. And there were those red eyes in the tree line, glaring in at them. He and the wife, they both they're freaking out. I cannot believe this. Now, mind you, they're like a good 20, 30 miles from this campsite. They're like, what is this? Is this something followed us home? What is this? So they're kind of like freaked out about this, as I would be too.
Sure.
And they said they stayed on their porch, and then the red eyes kind of vanished, went away. They went to bed, and I did follow up with this person. That was the only time they ever encountered that. Never on their property again. And they even ventured back a couple times into their camping area or their hiking area, never seen it again. So he posed me the question, Stephen, what do you think that was? And my question when I responded back to this guy says, I don't know what to tell you. Something paranormal? I don't know. Some unknown phenomenon.
It could be
I'm
a
not
couple
gonna
things.
I'm not gonna chalk it up to a Dogman all of a sudden just because we hear it. I don't know. But I said it could be different things. Could have been an animal. Could have been a spirit. Could have been a ghost. I don't know. I'm glad to hear you haven't had that encounter again, right? So that was about it on that one. But you always get this red eye thing with all these crazy.
What state was that in again? Did they say?
I think I have to remember if I'm recalling somewhere in Ohio.
Okay.
I get a lot of emails from Ohio.
So
But
closer to the Northeast.
yeah. I'm guessing a little bit on that one, to be honest with you. But I believe that's where it was.
Okay.
I know it was in around me. So
that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, it could have been a lot of things. It's hard to nail down what it was.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. It's Stevie B. I did have no answers. So you think it could be a lot of? I think it'd be a lot of different things.
I think you pointed that out perfectly. Like it could be paranoid, it could be ghosts, it could be a spirit, it could be Dogman, it could be. Well, I asked what state it was in because it could be like skinwalkers. But because my friend had an encounter in West Texas with one, and it was keeping pace with the truck, and they were on the highway.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, it could be, again, just a ton of things. It could be an alien for all we know. I don't know. I mean, maybe some of them have red glowing eyes. I mean, if all you saw were red glowing eyes, that's just so many possibilities.
Yeah, I was waiting because I get this so often or hear so often. I was waiting for the red eyes. Then I was waiting for the wolf-like creature to emerge from the tree line.
Or something, yeah.
But nothing like that. Nothing physical. Just these red eyes, which were.
I mean, I've heard of Bigfoot with red glowing eyes. So, I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility either.
I've heard of all the cryptids with the glowing red eyes at one point or another.
I mean, Mothman's got glowing red eyes.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I've never seen a rendition of Mothman without red eyes.
Right? Yeah.
So. But so it could have been anything. But I think
But it's unnerving, sure. I mean.
Well, the thing that would really unnerve me is the fact, okay, you're flanked by it in the forest is one thing while you're walking. And then when you're driving in your Jeep 20 miles an hour, all of a sudden it's still there, goes away, hit the pavement, the speed limit goes up to 40, and then it's flanking you again at 40, goes away. You get home, you're some 25, 30 miles from your hiking area, sitting on the porch at night, talking about the previous experience, and then to see them sitting there. Stalker, something,
What would freak me out the most is seeing glowing red eyes. Like, glowing red eyes.
Well, glowing red eyes on top of the fact that they don't leave you and they find you
pacing you at all. Just standing in the bushes, glowing red eyes would freak me out. But then you add in just the pacing adds to it. But again, like it could be standing in the bushes, not moving. It's got glowing red eyes, and I would be freaked out.
Yeah, I would. I mean,
who wouldn't be? Initially you would be. I suppose some people would run towards it. I have a higher sense of self-preservation than that.
Certainly, and I got to tell you this. The first time I experienced glowing red eyes, was in the Amityville Horror. When I saw that movie.
Oh, and Jody's outside the window.
Jody.
Yep.
That forever. Yeah, was something that I'll never forget.
Scared me more than anything in that movie, and that stayed with me because they were on the second floor, and she described Jody as like a pig-like being.
Yes.
Like a pig on two legs, kind of. And I was like,
Nope. I remember the pig like
I
being.
remember the chair rocking, and she's like, "Mom, you scared Jody away."
Oh gosh.
And then her mom looks out the window, and the two eyes, and it moves. They move.
Yes.
Like it tilts its head, and I was like, "Oh, that's not reflective brake lights."
No, not at all. Hey, did I tell you? I think I've told you this. I told you a story in 5th grade. Miss Trinidadi. She was our teacher. I went to Catholic school.
Lucky you.
Yeah, thanks. And yeah. It got, but however, they weren't all nuns, and she was from Brazil, or my teacher. And we would have story time, and she was kind of cool because she went out and bought the entire, maybe there's 25 kids in the classroom back then, I forget. But not, remember, we're in 5th grade, Catholic school. Miss Trinidadi from Brazil. She bought us all a copy of the Amityville Horror when it came out. Yay.
Holy cow.
Yeah, kids, Catholic school, 5th grade.
She probably just thought that it was like, here is what could happen if you allow the devil into your life.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
It was a warning.
And well, so she spent the money. I'm sure, 25 books. I mean, on a teacher's salary back in the day, I don't know. It was probably some money, right? Maybe $5 a book back in the day. I don't know. And so we would all take turns, because we would have one day a week. We kept the books in our desks, and we'd pull them out, and we'd all go around and spend the entire period reading. Each student would get a chapter to read.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And we read it aloud. And we had the setups where, like, we had like remember the square desk? You all know what what you lift up and we had them set up like a table. They're all pushed together so everybody could see each other when we're reading. And unfortunately, some of the kids that couldn't read too well they kind of got skipped over. She was cool about that. But us as 5th graders are reading some of these things, and there was the F-bomb was in it.
For sure. Okay, so it doesn't shock me as much that 5th graders were reading Amityville, because I was reading Stephen King.
Yeah, well, I started
around
reading,
the 5th grade, 6th. That's not shocking to me.
Yeah.
But what's shocking is that the teacher provided the literature.
Yeah.
That is what is shocking.
Oh, she was extremely cool. She was very
clearly. Yeah.
She was an extremely cool teacher. And no, 5th grade, I can remember that because I started reading early on. I was reading like all the Hardy Boy books in like 1st grade. Me and my brother both we read pretty well. My mom always fed us books I had a book probably when I was 1. Just, whatever. The golden
I loved reading. I still love reading, obviously.
I do too. I don't have enough time lately. I got, as I told you many times, I got several books over there. But anyway, so yeah, for me personally, it wasn't that big a deal because I had read other things. I think I probably read some Stephen King back in the day. I remember reading a lot of horror stuff as a little kid growing up. I was just fascinated with it. My mom got mad at me though because I was reading a copy of Jack the Ripper. When I was really young. You should be reading
history. It's a historical
book, right? My dad said, "Oh, he got it for me." I gave it to him to read. She goes, "Oh, Bob." But anyway, so I was reading horror stuff way early in life.
I was too.
Like yourself.
So I love Stephen King's Night Shift. I love that book.
That was pretty cool. I read a lot more when I was like between the ages of teenage years through my 20s. I read all the time. All the time.
I read everything. Like I read all the horror books I could get a hold of. I read all the I didn't read Red Dragon, but I don't think I did. I don't think I read Red Dragon, but I read this whatever book I forget the name of the book that Silence of the Lambs was based off of.
Okay.
Because I remember, and I had read it several years before the movie came out. And I remember when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, that's that book. And I loved the book. And I was so happy to see it in movie form.
Yes, I read The Red Dragon. Oh, that was great. Yeah. That was pre-Hannibal Lecter. It was Hannibal Lecter, but
Hannibal's in it. Yeah.
Hannibal's in it when he was, younger.
But he's
starting
not
out.
he's not the main focus.
He's not. No, it was actually a serial killer, and I
Yeah.
think he also, if I remember correctly, the investigator used Hannibal to help him.
Yeah,
Kind of
to
like
help
the other.
figure out who the Red Dragon. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so that was cool. But another one, I had the same experience about a book turning into a movie. I read the original Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. Jurassic Park before the movie even came out. I said, "Wow, this is a great book. I really loved it." Right, and then sure enough, several years later, the movie came out. And then I comparing the movie, and again, we all know this. So I went and definitely rushed and saw the movie, and I was like, kind of even though the movie was cool, book was a
Mhm.
million times better. And again,
The
that's
books always are.
they always are better.
Because you have so much more insight into the characters, what they're thinking, and
Yeah.
there's much more description typically. Yeah, I remember Dean Koontz. The first book I read of his was Watchers.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with him from that book. And I picked up all of his books after that. And he is one of my favorite authors. And definitely one of my favorite book series of all time is Odd Thomas.
Yeah, I remember you told me that before.
Yeah.
I
I can't recommend it
that.
enough to people that because it's got a little bit of paranormal spooky. It's got a little like crime solving kind of thing. It's really interesting.
Yes, I definitely like Dean Koontz. I told you this before. I first discovered Dean Koontz. I was like when they used to have cool bookstores. I saw Dean Koontz Frankenstein.
Hmm.
It's not the Mary Shelley one. It's more advanced. It's more like modern. Okay. And I read it, and I bought this book, and I think it was like in the fall. And I started reading this in the evening, and I read it cover to cover. I didn't put it down I read it for like 5 straight hours. Read it, finished
Yeah,
it.
I've done that. I did that with the Howling books. I read the first
Okay.
one in one sitting. Yeah.
I could not put it down, so I immediately the next morning went back because it was a trilogy, and I
Mhm.
bought part 2 and part 3, or the third, the second and third book. So, and then I read both of those in probably a week. 'Cause I had other things I had to do that I just happened to be lucky, had nothing to do. But the other 2 books, I finished both of them together in under a week. And then I became a Dean Koontz fan. I said, man, I read 3 books in like 8 days.
Right.
And I recommend it to anybody. And it's not, yes, I said Frankenstein. It is not like you're thinking. It is just, obviously, I loved it. Read it 7 days. So, yeah. And that's how I became a fan of his.
That's cool. Guillermo del Toro is making a new Frankenstein movie.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting when it comes out.
Yeah, that'll be good. Did you see the Frankenstein movie with Robert De Niro? Mary Shelley's version?
I want to say I have. It was definitely, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it was more true to the
Yeah.
book
I'm
than
just saying, I
most
didn't
of
like
them.
it. I just didn't like it. I'm just saying.
Well, if you consider so the book Frankenstein is very much self-aware.
Yeah.
He's abandoned essentially. He's resentful for it. He goes on killing literally everybody that the doctor holds near.
Right. Yeah.
It's actually a really sad book, but yeah, none of the movies really that I can remember. I remember that De Niro looked more like Frankenstein than like what I imagined Frankenstein to look like from reading. I can't remember if it
Well,
follows
De
the book.
Niro kind of looked like De Niro, but he had no hair. He just had all the scars. He looked more like you would think a Frankenstein would
Yeah.
be, like the Boris Karloff Frankenstein with the flat head. The
It doesn't
typical
look
one.
like that. Yeah.
No, that's kind of more fake. I mean, Robert De Niro looked like a human being.
Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like the story. I didn't like I just didn't like some about it I just didn't get into. I just thought it was boring for some reason. I don't know.
So yeah, anybody who's listening because somebody mentioned Clive Barker.
I like Clive Barker too.
Yeah, Clive Barker's great. His books are terrifying.
Yeah.
If you want, I couldn't even read the first of the Books of Blood. I couldn't even get through because they're short stories, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't get through them. Like I would have to skip around. Like, of course, I read Rawhead Rex because I love Rawhead Rex, the movie, and the story is equally like crazy. But if you want like serious, holy crap horror, the Books of Blood. I think Hellraiser might have been in one of them.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like Clive Barker, Dean Koontz, Stephen King, of course, those three. Oh, and of course, I told you Brian Lumley.
Oh,
I've told you numerous times that series, the Necromancer series. And I had no idea when I first started reading this that it was about a guy, a necromancer, but it also ends up being it turns into one of my favorites of all time. It ends up being a six book series of vampires.
Oh, okay.
Unlike, Bela Lugosi and all the things we see on TV today, very in depth, and you got to kind of get used to his writing because he's an English guy and he kind of keeps to that form. But after a while, you get used to it, But the story is fantastic. Brian Lumley, the Necromancer.
I thought his were. I'm getting him confused with another author who was kind of Lovecraftian. I thought it was Lumley.
Brian Lumley, I said. Yeah. Did I say that? Yeah, Lumley. Yeah.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah. Brian Lumley wrote the Necromancer series. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's another author that uses sort of like Lovecraftian.
Oh, gotcha.
Ideas. And there's one that I'm reading right now that is super interesting. And it's like a Southern Gothic, but it is heavy in the Lovecraft, like the Cthulhu and the deep ones and the ancient gods. It's really very interesting.
I would like that. And again, I love books, but I just don't read anymore. I'm gonna make a point to start doing a little more in the fall.
I mean, when you're working in the garden, you should get audiobooks and listen to them while you're working in the garden.
That's a good idea.
I mean, I love paper. I love holding a book, but it's not always possible. And audiobooks are awesome. Just make sure you get the unabridged versions.
Yeah, and the audio book really quickly I like it. I've been trying that a little bit lately, but I end up falling asleep. I told you this before.
Well, I do too. And but you can set it like for bedtime. So it automatically stops reading at like 15 minutes or 10 minutes or however long you think.
Or however long.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pretty cool show. We kind of went all over the place a little bit like we do, which is fine. It's, the afternoon show. And, I had a good time. Those stories are kind of odd. I liked the story earlier about the Newfoundland. That was interesting.
That was.
And again, the dog man with the grandfather, who knows what went on with that, and the red eyes. And I always like discussing the books. I always get pumped up, and then only to be let down because I know I'll never read again for a while.
I'm going to gift you Audible or something if I can do that.
Yeah, well, you could, I do like to read. Don't get me wrong. In fact, yesterday on the Blondes and Booze, they were talking a little bit about books, a little bit on their show. I caught some of it. And I finally looked and found my Stephen King It novel, which I've had for many years, and I've never finished it. So I started reading it again yesterday. So I admit that I started reading a book last night.
There you go.
After 10 pages, I was sleeping. Not because the book was boring, it's because I was up all damn day.
But it's good to go back and reread the ones that you read like earlier.
I reread
The Shining and I reread Salem's Lot like within the last year and a half.
Another good one, Salem's Lot. I love that one. Yeah. So.
And remember, if you like that, people watch Chapel Wait. Watch Chapel Wait and then watch Salem's Lot, the movies.
Watch Chapel Wait?
Watch Chapel Wait. It's like a precursor to Salem's Lot.
Where's that on?
It used to be on like it might be on Hulu.
Okay, so I have to look that up. Chapel Wait.
Chapel Wait is
like I was in the chapels praying or something.
Yeah. Where can you watch it? I think it says you can watch on Prime Video.
Oh, okay.
Definitely if you have MGM. I didn't even know MGM was a.
I don't even know if I have it. I don't know what I got.
I got so much stuff. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know half the stuff.
So it's on MGM, YouTube, Sling, Roku, Amazon Prime, Philo, and Apple.
Excellent. Chapel Waits, like spell it how you just told me.
Chapel, yeah, Waite.
Okay.
It's got Adrian Brody in it, and it's
I like that guy.
The Salem plot. Yeah.
Okay.
Vampire. You like vampires? You'll like Chapel Waite.
I like it. There's another one I found too on the Sci-Fi Channel on YouTube. I think I might have told you it's a series 6 series. It's pretty cool too. But anyways, thanks to Moon at Noon once, Moon at Noon twice, Keith from Michigan, and Mark Siammer for your Keith for the pirate members, our mateys, and of course the super chats from Moon, and Mark. I love you guys. Appreciate it. It always helps out what we all do around here. You know, throw it on the cable bill. I don't know what I do with it. Let it build in the bank account, I guess. But thank you so much. Thanks to Monica. And you are going to be doing part 2 of what you did last Thursday with the Chat GPT.
Yep, it's I think I called the last one like discussions with the artificial brain or mind or something like that. So it's part 2 to that, where we ask ChatGPT some interesting questions with parameters. It's got rules it has to follow in the answers that it gives.
Yes, that was cool. I like that. I'll be tuning into that. You got Breezy with and Speedy says we were talking about books all day. Don't forget these are available on Amazon. I'm not Stephen King. I'm not Kuntz. But these are Bigfoot Michigan Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, Book 2. Type that in your Amazon browser. Leave a review. For those who bought it, thank you for that. So with that being said, Monica, thank you. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tonight at 10 o'clock in the East. 9 Central?
10 o'clock Central, 11 in the East.
Oh, so you're late.
I'm late.
No, you're
night owl. I'm the night owl with...
Okay. Yeah, you're
the night owl. I guess I'm the night hawk.
The Night Hawk. Good movie as well.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later. Thanks, everybody. Hit that like button on your way out.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.